The first Fighter's Destiny was a hidden gem on the N64. At a time when good fighting games just weren't landing on the console, it was a rare glimmer of light that if a developer had a solid concept and ran with it, they could pull off a fighter worthy of the N64. Whilst critically acclaimed, Fighter's Destiny didn't set the top selling game charts alight, and sadly it became a little known and overlooked gem. 2 years later in the year 2000, Imagineer attempted yet again to refine their classic fighter, but to attract a mainstream gamer base to finally bring this series the attention it deserved. If you've played Fighter's Destiny, then you should be right at home here. The game uses the exact same engine as a previous game, and so instead of power or health bars like most fighters, the same points-based system is used here. The battles take place in squared arenas, and the main objective is to reach a certain number of points to win the match. You can score points by knocking your opponent out of the arena, knocking them down, using a finishing special move and so on. As each way of winning gives you a different number of points to coincide with its complexity, the game is more about slower paced, tactical offense and defense, rather than smashing the button combos as quickly as possible. In the review of Fighter's Destiny, I liken the gameplay to that of a karate belt, and there's no change here in that sense. What will most likely turn off fighting game fans is that the controls are yet again worked around the A and B button. With so many buttons on the controller, it's hard to justify why they would not have allowed for a higher level of depth by utilising these extra buttons. The game has 16 characters contained in it, and a few of them were combatants from the previous game. The ones which have been brought over, such as Pierre, have a more or less identical moveset. The new characters do add some freshness to the game, and yet again their fighting styles originate from the country they are representing. Choose Ariana for example, who is from Brazil, and you have an almost Samba-like set of moves. Choose Pierre from France, and he has a slapstick sneaky moveset, just like any killer clown should have. Many of the characters this time around though are less than memorable, and the limited moveset can turn some matches into dull and tiresome affairs, which feel more like a chore than a fun gaming experience. Finding something new in the game is pretty hard, however the Master Mode is a welcome addition. It's an almost Mario Party style affair. You roll the dice and move your character across the map, and you have various challenges along the way. This could be from defeating an opponent in a certain time limit, winning by a certain attack, or surviving with limited health. Whilst this is a fun experience, it's not one that you'll likely keep coming back to. Sure, it's a fun blast the first time you play through it, but there's not really much to keep you redoing this same set of events for weeks to come. Graphically, the game also does very little to stand itself apart from the first game. In fact, if you watch both games side by side without knowing the series, you'd be hard pushed to decide which game came out first. The characters are nicely designed and animate well, and there's lots of reversals and combos which look excellent. The replay feature also gives you the opportunity to enjoy your handiwork each time you score a point. The polygon models however are jagged, and there's a constant overlapping at the joints which sticks out noticeably. This issue has been resolved in late N64 titles, and so it was a surprise to see a game come out in this year with this very same issue. Even more surprising is the fact that the developers didn't see the need to make use of the expansion pack. It could have been used to greatly boost the frame rate, which at times is low. Sure, the game style is more methodical than fast paced, but it might have added a sense of urgency in the fights and created a more enjoyable experience in the process. The biggest disappointment in the game though is its sound. Aside from one or two tunes and the stages, everything here is unremarkable, and along with the announcer it sounds overly compressed and dull. With little hand-to-hand combat in the game compared to other fighters, you don't get that same sense of satisfaction as you hear your opponent being smashed all over the place. When playing the game, you will feel like something is missing, and then when you realise it's this small detail, it is really hard to forget. By this stage in the N64's life, we had some great fighting games such as Smash Bros, Mortal Kombat 4 and Killer Instinct. There was a perfect niche for Fighter's Destiny to bounce back with a sequel which surpasses its predecessor, but sadly this was a case of more of the same, and little has been added in the 2 years since the first game was released. Now don't get me wrong though, I may have sounded negative about this game, but it is still a solid, well-made fighter. But considering the excellent foundations the first game laid, it's a shame that nothing much has been improved on. So as always, let's kick off the discussion down below about how you felt this game missed the boat. Do you think perhaps that they were too afraid to lose fans of the first game to try anything too different? Or do you think that this late in the N64's life they wanted a quick cash cow from rehashing the same game engine? Or perhaps you prefer this over the original, and so I'd love to hear your memories and reasons why down below, and until next time.